Pete Holmes and I are old friends, and I've known Pete from the beginning of comedy, my career, and he had a talk show on TBS for a while, and I was a monologue writer for the show for the 2 seasons it was on, and we did a monologue about our friendship, and it was the phases of friendship, and because we would joke in real life, he'd be like, roses, level 7, this is a new thing, like and we would keep note of it, like what was the first level, so we did a monologue about it, and but it was all these things. It was like level 2, the first time you get like fucked up with your friend, and they like to get fucked up the way you do. Level 3, shit talk, when you finally go, I'm going to talk shit to you about somebody right now, and if the person's like, I'm in, you're like, we got a thing going.
But you're saying shit talk about others.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Because I also think shit talking to each other. It's like if I'm nice to you, I probably hate your guts.
That was like level 4 was being mean to each other to make each other laugh or whatever. Like but it was all the steps that you go through.
That's a good like 10 Commandments list. That should be set in stone.
I got to try to find them. I think the monologue is still on YouTube. I got to try to find it. But yeah, it was all the classic. Like, these are the things you do. Like, and if you see a red flag at any point with one of these stages, it will halt the friendship and can't go on. If I try to talk shit to you about somebody and you're like, I don't know, man, I'm like,
then you're out. Can't trust you.
We're done, yeah.
It's not gonna be fun to bust balls with people. Yeah.
So, and it's not like I can't be friends with you if you're not a drinker, but like we're probably not going to be super.
But like I can't really be friends with you.
It's like when someone comes around that doesn't drink, it's like you can't fully trust them in the situation.
Right.
It's like we can be friends, but knowing that you're gonna have control of yourself this whole time. Well, we don't. I don't like that.
Well, it's funny, man. Soder's one of my closest friends, and I never hang out with him. He's one of my dearest friends. He really
because
is.
you stopped drinking?
But we both get it because Soder's just like, yeah, man, I kind of stay home with my lady and I smoke a little weed, and that's what I do now. And it's like, I get it. Yeah. I don't do that. I love you. I'll see you around.
I also think when the person who stops drinking, I don't really drink much at all, and I certainly don't drink like I used to drink.
Right.
And it's like now I know you kind of don't want me there if you guys are going to tie one on. So I'm just going to bow out. But it's not like we can't be friends anymore.
Yeah.
But you have to establish. That's got to be pre-established.
Yeah,
it's hard to become really close if you meet under those circumstances.
Yeah, you got to know at least. I think we've said before where it's like, if you're like, I don't drink and I never drank my whole life, that's weird. If you're like, look, I drank and I drank fucking too hard.
Yeah.
But also hang out, like, okay, you I can trust because you've been through shit. If you're scared to ever let yourself go, then I don't trust you.
Remember Brian Cox on Hard Knocks? Like the Rex Ryan Hard Knocks.
Like every man needs a vice?
Yeah, he's like, every man needs a vice, and if you don't have a vice, I can't trust you. You either do drugs, or you fuck, or you drink, or whatever, but if you're like frontward facing, squeaky clean, you're probably like chopping bodies up.
It's absolutely true. I agree with that. Like, one of the greatest, and I mean, I knew this about John already because he used to talk about it early on in stand-up, but my respect went up even higher for Mulaney when he was like, he got deep into a coke thing.
He was talking details too. When he came back, some of those sets he was doing, we were talking about the amount he had and where and when. I was like, woo, this is awesome.
I met John again early on in comedy, but like I met him when he first had become sober, and like he still did. I don't even think it. I might be wrong, but I don't think the material even made it to his first album. But he used to do material about doing coke and shit.
See, that was
like John Mulaney, like original John Mulaney. It was like kind of dark. It was still the same personality,
right?
But everybody now is like being like, oh, this new turn and whatever. And I'm like, no, that's kind of like who he used to talk about this shit. And I'm glad he's talking about it again.
Right, the sober shit was the turn.
I remember when I like first got into him, which is I think it was New in Town. What was the first like Netflix special? I think New in Town was the second. But he's in the gray suit. It's a blue backdrop.
New in Town's the first one, and then the Comeback Kid was the second one.
So it was New in Town where he's talking about like he talked about how he's sober and he can't drink anymore. But then the only story he ever told from that special on that I'd ever heard was like he was drunk at a high school party and he yelled cops and they all ran or whatever. And I remember thinking that I'm like, oh, that's not like, you didn't have like a drinking problem. Like you were just 18. That's a different thing. And then now that he's telling more stories, like, oh, okay, you did have a substance abuse problem.
He did a thing to me, not to me, but I asked him to do it. But we were at Pete Holmes' house.
Okay. Where's this going, Joe?
We were at Pete Holmes' house for a party, and I said, John was talking about, this was before he relapsed, like when he got sober and all that. And I was like, John, I can't even picture you like being a bad drunk. Like, what were you like? And he was like, and he got right into my face, and he's like, you think you're fucking better than me? Like, and he started doing it. And he was like, that's what I was like. And he went into it so seamlessly that I was like, oh, okay, like he's got another thing that he can go to that he clearly does not like going to. But it was so convincing, and I was just like, all right, I can see it now. Yeah. I couldn't see it before, you know?
Yeah.
Because
he's so clean cut. The suit with everything is always like, from what I'd seen, again, because I don't know him and I didn't know his older stuff. I was like, oh, this isn't like,
he can't have a real problem.
Yeah, and then we saw him at 9.
You wear a suit, you can't be a drunk.
That's how it felt, right? You shaved your face and you're wearing a suit? You're fine, man. You got life way more put together than I do.
Yeah, you can. If you're in a suit, you always think, well, they could be like a Dean Martin drunk.
Yeah, but they can't be like you can tie a knot. It can't possibly be abusive or something.
That top button's still done. Everything's all set. Not even wedding mode yet.
But I know a lot of guys, and I won't name names because they don't talk about it openly on stage. But I know a lot of guys that are like squeaky clean on stage, like really give out like a very Nickelodeon vibe.
Really?
And they like to put it away, which makes me like them more. Like, I mean, it's. I'm not putting the emphasis on the booze itself. I'm putting it's like your friend said. You see a guy that seems to be well put together, and you learn he's got a vice. You're like, you're a normal person.
Yeah. That's what happens to humans. Yeah,
like you're not trying to portray this image of whatever. I can't stand people trying to put an image onto me, whatever it is. You know, if you're drinking or I've had friends that do drugs and do a lot of them, and every other week they're trying to tell you that they're not doing them, and you're like, dude, just do them.
Right.
Like, I don't care. It's not my business.
Look around, man.
Dude, I had a friend who was like that, who had like, he was doing a lot of drugs, but he was doing them so openly that I was like, whatever. And then he went to rehab, and he's like, yeah, the whole time I was with you, I was addicted to drugs. And I was like, but you were just doing them. Like, you weren't being sneaky about it. So I was just like, all right, he seems fine.
Right.
That logic still makes sense to me.
You're doing the fucking, you're blasting off right in front of you.
Yeah, so I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. I did cross my mind. You seem to be doing a lot of cocaine. But
man,
I thought Tuesday cocaine was a thing, but